Hello folks, welcome to Inktober day 23, and for today I'm not doing a proper intro because that would require me being on camera and I don't feel up to being on camera at the moment, but I can talk to you like this, it's all good. Today is day 23 of Inktober, and this is one of my favourite ones so far. I've done a few now recently that I've not been super happy with. Um, the last two in particular, I wasn't super excited by, but this one I am really pleased with. I don't think there's anything I would change actually, which makes a change. It's interesting with Inktober. I tend to go through periods of going, well, yeah, this is these are a set of good ones, and then these are a set of not so good ones. Yes, so this one is Medea, who is probably one of the most controversial characters from Greek mythology. She can be interpreted in different ways. So she was the wife of Jason. This is of Jason and the Argonauts, and she fell in love with him. He fell in love with her, and they got married and had two children. And then after a while, I think Jason went back and became, took a leadership position. I'm trying to remember the exact details here, but he's in a position of power. I don't think he's quite the king yet, but why can't I remember this? Anyway, you have to bear with me here. So yes, basically he wants to have heirs. So he's got these two sons, two boys, who will be the heirs. But he then makes the argument that he wants more heirs, and he takes another wife, which is where everything starts going wrong for him and for Medea. So obviously Medea is not very happy about this whole situation, and she begs with Jason, and there are various versions of this story, but the one I'm quoting from is the story called Medea by Euripides, which I studied at university, which was a little while ago. Done a brief bit of revision in the meantime, but so Medea decides to take revenge upon Jason, and she thinks of sort of the best ways of doing this. So for one thing, she wants to kill his wife, and so she goes about doing that, and his father, I think, I should have double checked all of these before I started this, but they don't have a huge bearing on the story itself. And as a final act of revenge, she decides the thing that will cause the most pain to Jason is killing her two children, which is what makes it such a controversial or such a difficult play, such a difficult story. And she argues that even though this will cause her pain, her main goal is to cause Jason pain. So yes, that is the best way for her to do that. And yes, it's sort of arguable whether you see her as sort of a triumphant heroine in the end, or as a victim, or both, or as the villain of this piece. It's certainly a case of pretty much everybody in the story being deplorable, and there's also an added element that it may have been Aphrodite who made Medea fall in love with Jason in the first place. So there's an issue of consent there, and whether Medea was willing in her love. It's a little bit like the question of love potions in Harry Potter. If you're familiar with the Harry Potter books, which I imagine you probably are, in one of the later books, there is a plot involving, or a past plot involving a love potion, and the questions there around whether somebody can give consent if they have been influenced by a love potion. So same goes for Aphrodite and Eros in Greek mythology. At least that's my interpretation of it, and I believe that's many people's interpretation of it. So yes, that is a question in this story, and I think it sort of further blurs the lines of morality in this. But I want to talk briefly about why I decided to design this as I did. I actually used a reference picture of myself for this. I don't know if that comes across, but I needed a picture of somebody with their head sort of tilted up and looking sort of directly at the viewer, imagining there's a camera here, and being quite sort of confrontational and also proud. So I wanted to portray her in that way. So she's got a softness with her hair, but she's also got this real spikiness in what she's wearing, which is quite it's kind of catwalkish, I guess. It's quite an artistic piece. It doesn't look like a very functional piece of clothing, but that's all right because this is a piece of art. And yes, they could be feathers, or they could be sort of sharp things. So the feathers would represent her flight at the end of the story. She leaves Jason. I think she leaves on a chariot of winged horses who the gods had sent down, or something similar. So yes, there's that, and obviously she's holding a knife, which is representative of what she does, which is murder. And I've also echoed the shape of the knife in her earring, which is also that kind of dagger shape. So yes, I always say that the more you can repeat the same kinds of forms within a piece, the more unity the whole thing has. So this is no exception. I wanted to repeat those shapes, those quite sharp, spiky shapes throughout this, and that kind of that contrasts with her hair, but also within her hair there are those spiky bits as well at the ends. So yeah, all up, I'm really pleased with this. I really like the composition and the amount of white space around her, or black space in this case, and the way the text is. It's a little bit kind of Japanese inspired, I guess. Both the composition and the way the text is. That kind of composition is quite common in Japanese prints. And yeah, the simple colours I think really work for me. The more colours I try to use, the less successful I think the piece ends up being. So I really like just having the flat white for the skin, not the coffee, but not colouring it in with any kind of tone, but just leaving it blank. I think that's quite arresting, and it's worked well in my previous ones that I've done like that. So I might experiment more with that. And yes, of course, I love copper, and it gives it a bit of an ancient Greek feel to it, that black, white and copper look. So yes, this is Medea, and I hope you have enjoyed both hearing about the story, which is worth looking up if you want to know more about the actual details of who's who, because clearly I did not do a very good job of that. And yeah, it's a really interesting play. It's worth a read. So I will see you tomorrow for Arachne, who is the weaver who got turned into a spider. That's a bit of a spoiler alert, but yes, follow me over on Instagram if you're not already, to see all of the Inktober pieces, and you can find the Inktober playlist down below, which has all of the videos that I've done so far. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye!